So, what if an ancient text held a practical blueprint for a stable and, a truly guided life for us today? That is exactly what we're diving into with Proverbs chapter 3. It's so foundational that it's often called the Charter of Wise Living. For centuries, it's been called the School of Trust, and for a really powerful reason. This chapter isn't just about abstract knowledge or ideas. Nope. It's a guide to a practical lifestyle, all about turning what you know into a path you can actually walk every single day. All right, so here's our roadmap for the journey. We're going to start with the very root of wise living. Then we'll build that essential foundation of trust and humility. From there, we'll see what this all looks like in action, learn how to navigate the path with discipline, and then finally we'll arrive at the ultimate promise, a truly guided life. Okay, let's start at the source with the very first principle. And it's this idea of holding God's word so close that it moves from just being in your head to being in your heart, becoming the actual root of your entire being. Now, to really get this, we've got to look at a key word, Torah. When the text says, "Do not forget my teaching," it's not just talking about a bunch of rules. Torah means divine guidance. Think of it like the design, the blueprint for how life is meant to be lived in harmony with its creator. And the promise for internalizing this guidance? It's incredibly clear. It's not about material riches, but something so much more profound. A long life, a deep peace, and genuine well-being. This wisdom is literally designed to stabilize and anchor you. So, that internal wisdom leads us directly into our next section. We're shifting now from the teaching itself to the internal posture you need to live it out, a foundation of absolute trust and genuine humility. And right here, we are arriving at the absolute heart of this whole philosophy. The next few verses are probably the most famous in the entire book of Proverbs, and for a very good reason. They are the engine that drives everything else. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. This isn't a call for partial trust or, trust only when it's convenient. It's a complete reliance on God's guidance over your own, much more limited perspective. And this brings us to a really core tension, right? Our own understanding is, by its very nature, limited. We can only see a tiny part of the picture. But the promise here is access to a perspective that is completely limitless. And just acknowledging that difference, that's the crucial first step. So here's the crucial point. The text doesn't promise a life without challenges or detours. That's not it at all. It promises a guided life. The idea is that God clears the obstacles and straightens the path ahead, but you still have to walk it. He's the guide, not some magical problem eraser. And right alongside that call to trust comes this absolutely essential warning. Do not be wise in your own eyes. This is a direct shot at pride and arrogance. The kind of self-confidence that leaves zero room for God. Because as the text implies, that kind of pride is blinding. But look at the immediate result of listening to that warning. When you let go of that self-reliant pride and you embrace humility, the outcome is described as a physical and spiritual restoration, actual healing and refreshment. It's like wisdom and humility are just two sides of the same coin. Okay, so we've built the internal foundation of trust and humility. Now, what does that actually look like in the real world? Well, this next section is all about the external practices that flow from that inner reality. First, the text talks about steadfast love and faithfulness. In Hebrew thought, these were the very heart of godly character. The instruction isn't just to practice them, but to bind them to you, to write them on your heart. We're talking about identity. And the result is fascinating. You find favor not just with God, but with people too. And why? Because a life of integrity and loyal love is magnetic. It builds the kind of relational trust that is the currency of a good life. Next, it gets really practical about our resources. And this isn't just about money, it's a principle of priority. Honor God with the first fruits, the first and the best of what you have, not the leftovers. This is a profound act of trust in action. It completely reorients your mindset from scarcity to abundance, acknowledging that He is your ultimate provider, not just your own effort. It's a declaration of dependence. But what happens when the path isn't smooth? When we make mistakes? Our next landmark addresses the reality of correction, reframing it not as punishment, but as something constructive and essential for our growth. This is such an important distinction. The text draws a sharp line between punishment, which is destructive, and God's discipline.
Discipline is presented here as corrective, a force for growth and protection, kind of like a loving father correcting a child, because he wants the absolute best for them. It's actually a sign of belonging, not rejection.
And that brings us to our final destination. After walking this path of trust, humility, and discipline, what is the ultimate outcome? Well, the end of the chapter paints this beautiful picture of a life filled with profound peace and security. The text personifies wisdom as something beautiful, noble, and desirable. It says she is more precious than jewels. And the point is crystal clear. The stability, the peace, and the guidance that come from this wisdom are more valuable than any material wealth you could ever accumulate. And here is the payoff, the fruit of a life built on this foundation. You will walk securely, your foot won't stumble, your sleep will be sweet, you will not be afraid of sudden disaster. And, most importantly, your confidence isn't in your own strength or accomplishments, it's in God Himself. That is the ultimate security.
So, after laying out this entire blueprint for a stable, peaceful, and guided life, the chapter ends with this simple, powerful invitation. It's not a command to be memorized, but a path to be walked. Wisdom is calling.